because I like to say, just because you're tight doesn't mean you're strong. Sometimes when you're really tight, you're in pain because tightness can cause
Yeah.
tension, can cause pain. So that's when I really started heightening my awareness of my own body and really listening to my body and giving it what it needs along the way, which is pretty much the definition of yoga.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on another behind the scenes episode. Today, I have a guest and long-term friend of mine, Julie Blamphin with Stretch Your Spirit. And we're going to be talking about something that we haven't talked about on the channel yet before, which is movement and stillness and just overall health and wellness. I don't think we've talked about that enough, but that's so crucial for your business and for running a business is keeping your health and your wellness in check. So I'm going to let Julie introduce herself and tell us how she got started in her business.
Yay! Thank you, Emma. I am so thrilled to be here. Honored that you invited me to speak with you. So thank you. My name is Julie Blamphin. I'm inspiring women, especially, but also men, inspiring women to feel joyful, stable, and sexy through movement and stillness. I'm a yoga pro, a motivational speaker, a retreat leader, and the founder of Stretch Your Spirit. And I love what I do, and I love to talk about it.
Yes, I love seeing Julie's content, and I have gone through a lot of her exercises and her techniques and her strategies, especially when I was pregnant with Lila. I'm pregnant with baby number 3, so I still use some of them, and they have definitely helped me feel better, just be more present and not so much in pain. So I would love to hear kind of how you got into this journey of like what made you choose yoga and this avenue of helping women, and what made you focus in on specifically, feeling sexy and stable and happy through yoga.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. So this is such a great question because I've really got to start from the beginning because that's how I got my start. I started practicing yoga when I was 4. And
Oh my
literally, yeah. So my mom had a school of gymnastics when I was a kid. And so I've been practicing yoga since I was about 4 or 5 years old, gymnastics. And I started teaching yoga when I was about 12. I mean, we called it gymnastics, but I wasn't really teaching gymnastics because my first students were really little teeny tinies. I mean, I was 12, but they were the little teeny
gosh.
tinies on the Special Olympics team that came to practice at our gym. And they were the little, really, really little young kids who were paralyzed.
Yeah,
And they weren't on all of the other apparatus. They were on the floor with me in a big
gotcha.
straddle or with their legs folded in. And we would be stretching and moving and working on strength and sensation and balance. Yoga. So
Yeah.
I started practicing when I was a little kid, and I started teaching when I was 12. So it's pretty much been my whole life. It's why I'm here. I love what I do. It's what I deeply know and trust. And I
Right.
like to say that what I teach is called yoga in real life because I've lived it. And when I was maybe in my early 20s, 30s, and I was, that young career woman, and I was noticing my body and starting to understand my body as a young woman, I was
Right.
recognizing the tightness that I gave to my body through my history of gymnastics and yoga and movement. And I realized, okay, maybe this is not such a great thing because I like to say, just because you're tight doesn't mean you're strong. Sometimes when you're really tight, you're in pain because tightness can cause
Yeah.
tension, can cause pain. So that's when I really started heightening my awareness of my own body and really listening to my body and giving it what it needs along the way, which is pretty much the definition of yoga. So that's when I
Right.
started my business, Stretch Your Spirit, and really started working on letting go of some of this tension that I was carrying and that I was cultivating. Because I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur a very long time. You and I have worked together. Thank you, by the way, for all of the organizational strategies that you've provided me. But also along the way, before I had people like you, I was just doing it all myself and really feeling so imbalanced. And this is why the title
Yeah.
of our talk here is True Balance. It doesn't just mean standing on one foot, right? So
Right.
recognizing all the tension that we hold in our bodies, and then we wake up and we're sore, or end of the day and we're super achy and in pain. It's okay to let
Mm-hmm.
go and to just breathe and relax. In fact, let's do it now. Can we? Can we?
Oh my gosh, of course. I would love
Okay,
that.
so let's close our eyes and let's just wiggle our tail wherever we're sitting and turn palms down on your desk, on your knees, on your thighs, on your chair. Take a nice deep breath. Open the mouth on the exhale. 2 more breaths, just like that. And 1 more breath, just like that. This time on the exhale, drop the shoulders. Yes. So I have been doing techniques like that. I have been teaching techniques like that. I've been practicing techniques like that ever since I was in my early 20s, when I started recognizing the tightness I was carrying in my body. And it
Mm-hmm.
helps. I like to call it yoga in real life because it just helps. And even today, I practice it all the time. It's definitely one of my most effective techniques for my own body and for all of my students and clients. So that nice deep breath, and you can just take 2, 3 deep breaths, boom, change your day, bring a little bit more relaxation into the body, the mind, the heart, and you're feeling groovy in just a few seconds. It works every time. Yeah.
It does work, and I feel like these are the things that, of course, part of the reason I created the show was to talk about these simple little things. I mean, they are simple, but we forget to do them so
Yeah.
often. Like
Right.
to take that moment to breathe, the grounding exercises, the breathing exercises that you teach, the stretches, like they're not hard to do, but people often make excuses of why not to do them. So I'd love to hear how you kind of overcome that, because you mentioned before it's yoga in real life. Like, how do we fit this in to our real life? Because to you, the definite I'm getting ahead of myself because I have like 2 questions that I wanted to ask. So I'll stop there and I'll save the other question for next.
So I truly think, Emma, that first of all, we all have time, because that's kind of all we,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's all we have is time. Do we have
Yep.
a whole lot of big chunks of free time?
Right.
Not necessarily, because we're taking care of all the things, all the people, all the to-do lists, all the deadlines. We're getting shit done. Am I allowed to say? Sorry.
You are allowed to
Um,
say that.
I'm that kind of yogi. I tell it straight. So we're getting things done. We're checking things off the list. We're busy. We're moving and grooving, and all of a sudden we realize, oh, I'm fatigued. I'm burnt out. I'm anxious. So that was another thing that I got to. Right? I get
Mm-hmm.
into these moments of my career, of my life, of my awareness, of a woman,
Right.
of an entrepreneur, of a business owner, of someone who likes to live really well and feel
Right.
really well. But I'm busy. Do I have super big chunks of time? Not necessarily, unless I make them. I don't find time. I don't believe in that.
Right.
I believe in making time. So if it's a
Yep.
priority, then it will
Oh
be on
yeah.
the calendar. So if we need to put something on the calendar and leave it there, which is what I do, then we need to do
Right.
that. If we feel like self
Yes.
care is at the bottom of the list, well, I'm just telling you, move it to the top or somewhere near the top. If sleep is not at the top of the list, sleep should be at the top of the list. I mean, yoga poses are important, breath techniques, meditation, blah, 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 walking, all the things. That's really great. Sleep should be at the top of the list, plenty of water, and other self care techniques as well, like yoga, massage, whatever floats your boat, right? But
Yeah.
keeping those things on your calendar, it's not something that just sort of, oh, I found some time. Maybe I'll get on the floor and stretch. No,
Yeah.
it's okay. I've just done something that allows me the time so
Hmm.
I can get on the floor and stretch, right? There are things that we can
Right.
pair together. And so this is what I like to teach, especially women, because that's the majority of who I work with. Um, I like to tell you that you can put them together. You can put those stretches at the same time as nap time. You can put those stretches at the
Yes.
same time as Netflix. I mean, if we're going to sit
Oh
on the
yeah.
sofa and rest, or sit on the sofa or wherever we're sitting to watch a show, to watch the
Hmm.
news, to watch Netflix, get off the sofa, get on the floor. What are you doing on the
Yeah.
sofa? Right? So take these opportunities to pair things together so you can practice some self care. Because I'm telling you, right here, right now, everybody's got time to take care of their body. And if they don't feel like they
That
do,
should be a priority.
then talk to me and we'll find that time, because we can always.
Yes. Yeah, I love how you put that, and you love how you make that statement of you make the time and you prioritize what's important, because it is true, because we are so busy taking care of other people. And you reminded me of a good one of not just sitting there and relaxing on the couch, but you can stretch and still relax while watching whatever show it is that you're watching, and get your stretch in and get your moment of health, like wellness, whatever you want to call it, in. And you're setting, since most of my listeners, my audience are moms, I'm going to say, like, you're setting that good example for your kids. Like, if they see me doing it, that's going to get them interested, and that's going to then teach them how to be healthy. So I think those
Absolutely.
are all amazing reminders for people
Yeah.
to hear. But that also kind of goes into my second question, which was that came up, was what does true balance mean to you? And you kind of touched on that, but being very specific of what is true balance to you.
I want to say just something about what
Yeah,
you
go for it.
for first before I get into true balance. You know, we are we're providing these good examples for our children, right? First of all, kids love
Hmm.
yoga because we're all born yogis, and kids love yoga.
Yes.
They love to be on the floor. They love to create
Hmm.
shapes with their body. I mean, who doesn't like to stand in tree pose? All kids love to stand in tree pose. All kids love to get on the floor and practice dead bug. All kids want to get on the floor
Oh
and practice
yeah.
cobra and be a snake. So there's all these really groovy poses and techniques that we can practice with our kids. And in that moment, they're not only learning to connect with their body, but they're learning to really tap in to their parasympathetic nervous system. I mean, if you want to go with that language, that's fine. Teach them that too. But what's happening in that moment is they're getting into that side of self that brings them to a calm, groovy place. And sometimes that's not easy to find that place with a
Right.
kid, right? Sometimes it's not easy to convince a kid, hey, let's feel calm and groovy right now. It's time for bed, or it's time for church, or wherever we're going where we need to be a little bit more calm and groovy. But if we can practice it and we get them a
Yeah.
special mat, right? And there are so many yoga mats out there that have dinosaurs and that have rainbows and whatever, or maybe just make one at home.
Right.
That's a cool project.
Charlotte has a unicorn one that her aunt, because two of her aunts are really big into yoga. So they gifted her a yoga mat with unicorns from Target that shows the poses. Like, it shows like a circle of
Oh,
like what they can do, so that they can follow the circle of the movement. And she loves it. Like, that's one of my recommendations for kiddos, is one like that.
yes, I want that mat. I want
It's
that
so
mat.
cute.
I bet. That is fantastic. Yes. And when we are not with the kids, because of course it's easier to practice yoga literally with the kids so they can do it with you, and it'll
Yeah.
still, you might not get into that meditative place that you think is benefiting you, but even if you get into a meditative place and there's a child around doing the things and wiggling and
Yeah.
skin and stepping over your body, that's fine, because you're still in that meditative space. Even though it's difficult,
Right.
meditation is difficult. And so all the more reason to practice it when you've got all that wiggling happening around you. And so that leads me into answering the question about true balance. So what is
Yeah.
true balance, right? What is true balance? Balance, we think, oh, my balance sucks. My balance sucks. And I was a gymnast, and balance beam was my thing. I was the balance beam kid. That's what my dad called me. But now, because I lost my hearing 10 years ago, this past month, my right side just whoop, stopped working one day. No idea. Still no idea. And my balance now is really wonky. And I have tinnitus. I have the ringing. I have a little bit of vertigo all the time. So I am constantly practicing balance, because why wouldn't I? Right? I mean, I can be like,
Right.
oh, my balance sucks. I could be saying that every day, because it does. But I could be saying instead, I am balanced.
Yep.
And so
It's all
that's
about a reframe.
right? That's a practice in yoga. It's called mantra. A mantra is a sound, a word, or a phrase that, when repeated, can provide positive transformation. So that's one of my mantra. I am balanced, because it's a practice.
It is. And like you said, I think a great point is, like you said, oh, I used to be really good at balance, and then this happened. Like, there are always going to be like phases or cycles in our life, and you're teaching them the tools, like, to go back to that, those foundational tools to go back to help them when they are not just feeling out of whack physically, but stressed or overwhelmed or shaken, because these will not, these practices not only, I didn't like get the wording right, not only help your physical well-being, but your mental toughness as well. So I guess that kind of leads into the question of, I know we have like been hinting at all these things, but why is it so beneficial for them to practice and do, like, why is what you do so important? I think is like the question I'm trying to get at.
So I think that you're right. Physically, mentally, emotionally, if you're repeating the mantra, I am balanced, I am balanced, I am balanced, a million times a day, like I am, it comes in handy. I mean, that mantra, if you practice it, you will find it when you need it.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I call this a practice. I don't teach classes. I don't teach, I don't teach exercises. I teach practices.
Right.
Because when you are out there living in the world, I want you to remember this yoga in real life that I call it. Yoga in real life is just you connecting with you physically, mentally, and emotionally, and making adjustments along the way. That's the definition of yoga. Like, that is the easy definition of yoga. Let's say, of course, it's more complex than that, but the easy breezy definition of yoga is you connecting with you, mind, body, spirit connection, making adjustments along the way. That's all we can do in life. If we resist, whatever it might be, whatever is challenging us, if we push back and we're pissed and we're lamenting, this sucks, that doesn't get us anywhere. It just makes that challenge even worse, right? So if we can find a mantra, we can find a yoga pose, if we can find some sort of a breath technique, anything that can bring us back to a semblance of balance,
Right.
mentally, emotionally, sexually, spiritually, all of the ways, all of our ways of wellness. And we've got a lot of them, especially we women, but we get so busy. So this is why I want to teach you yoga in real life. Because as you're in that kitchen, pushing down the bread for the toast, you can be going up on tippy toes, coming back down to heels, tippy toes, heels, tippy toes, heels, lifting one knee up.
Oh, good.
Breathe, activate your pelvic floor, activate your core. You're standing on one leg. Then you go to the other leg, you lift that knee up, activate that pelvic floor, activate that deep core, practicing balance. There is the toast. Right? You don't just have to stand there with your knees hyperextended, cocking your hip out, holding on to something heavy. Maybe it's a baby. Put that baby in the other side to get balance in that body, right? So coming into these awarenesses simply because you keep saying that word. So that's another really great reason for practicing mantra, because then as you're sitting, and I'm going to scooch back so you can see me a little better, as you're sitting maybe on the sofa, maybe in your desk, maybe at your desk chair, and you have this leg up the other one, and
I do that
sometimes,
all the time.
right? And sometimes like later
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know why my back hurts on this side. Well, maybe because you sit like this for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I sit there like for hours not realizing, and then I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, yep.
exactly. So switch that leg, get up, do the little hokey pokey, turn yourself around, do the little dance, and come back down and move on with your work, right? So when I
Mm-hmm.
say get up and wiggle around, I mean get up and wiggle around. And it can only take 2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes,
It does.
right? Yeah. If that little circle's moving on the computer, instead of sitting there and staring at it going, shit, my computer's frozen. What do I do now? Get up and dance around. It's better for you.
It is so much better for you. And I love those tips because they are practical. They are so true. And I am guilty of doing some of them myself, even though I know a lot of Julie's techniques and I know how powerful they can be, but we do forget. And sometimes we just need that hand holding and that accountability and that reminder to say, hey, you got to stretch, or, writing it down, even though that seems silly sometimes. I always tell my clients the same thing. Like, if you have to schedule out and get lunch, then schedule it out. Or if you have to schedule out, like I've heard this from so many like intimacy coaches that I know, like if you have to schedule out your time to be intimate, like, that's what you got to do, but you're prioritizing it. It's not making it any less impactful. It's just, you're
Exactly.
saying like, I want to do this. I need to make this a priority.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's why I do what I do. I do this work because my private clients have been dropping 5-star reviews for years. I've been teaching this stuff for years. And I've got testimonials that are like, this is changing my life. And it's you doing the work. I'm just your guide, right? You're the one who do the work, and you left me a testimonial that was beautiful. And I love getting that feedback, knowing that these techniques, these practices, these poses, these mantra, these breath techniques, these visualizations are actually working for you. So that's why I just started this new membership that I have called Yoga in Real Life. There are plus videos in there. They're short form videos. Like some are a minute and a half, some are 3 minutes. Maybe the longest is 7 or 8 minutes. And they're practices that you into your day while you're putting the toast in, while you're waiting for the coffee, while you're sitting at your desk chair, while you're putting baby down for the nap, right? There are all these moments that you can practice some of these techniques. I also have an app, so you can just, boom, put it on your phone, set it up, and you'll be seeing me. What's up? Let's practice some yoga.
I didn't know you had an app now. That's amazing.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Know.
Where else can everyone find you? I know you have your app, and your link to your website will be below, and we'll add the rest of the links, but where else can people connect and follow along with you? Because you also have some amazing in-person retreats. We didn't even talk about that piece at all, but you do offer some opportunities to connect with women in real life.
True. And it's so funny you mention that, because today I just confirmed the dates for next year, and I cannot tell you because I have not even told my retreaters who were just on my last retreat. And I'm going to be seeing them all tonight for our post-retreat party, and I'm announcing it to them, and then I'll announce it to the world. So you all have to get on my email list, or follow me on Instagram, Stretch Your Spirit, or follow me on Facebook, Stretch Your Spirit, or go to my website, www.stretchyourspirit.com, and just wait and see, because I'm super excited. I just got the dates like literally a couple hours ago. I'm like, yes, I'm going to Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah, you do. She hosts some pretty awesome retreats in some crazy areas. I have not gotten to experience one yet because of babies and pregnancy, but it will happen to get to go to one of these amazing tropical places that you're always off to.
Luxury. It's just luxury. It's just you going and just cherishing and nurturing and filling your cup, chilling out, spa treatments, wandering around, breathing, staring at flowers. I mean, it's so calm and groovy. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love that. And I want to also leave our audience with what is one takeaway that they should walk away with, whether we've covered it in that episode, like a summary, or something totally unrelated that you're like, you just need to know this, that we maybe didn't cover for the audience.
Regardless of what you're struggling with, there is something in the yoga repertoire that will help you in real life. I mean, you can show
Yes.
up. I love to tell people, you can show up, you can work with me privately. I'm totally booked out. I have no space, but you can get on my wait list. You can work with me privately if you want to take an hour out of your schedule and we Zoom, or you come to my studio in Annapolis, Maryland. I've got clients all around the country, but if you just need a 5-minute practice or a 1-minute practice while you're walking around your
Mhm.
home, or you're in your car for a couple of hours commuting, or wherever you are, maybe you travel. I do yoga on a plane, let me tell you. There are so many techniques for your physical, mental, sexual, spiritual, all of these levels of wellness. There are so many
Yes.
beautiful techniques that you can practice in real life. Happy to help.
Yes. And Julie's top 3 tips are going to be linked below. I kind of mentioned that like her website's linked, but also her top 3 tips are linked below. So that will be also how you can get on her email list to hear about the retreat and just get those amazing tips that are going to help get you started. But she is so right. There is something in the yoga field, realm, however word you want to use
Mhm.
it, that can and will help you with whatever you're struggling with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Julie, for joining us today. And you guys, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section on YouTube. Follow Julie to stay connected. Ask her question. If you have questions and want to ask her directly, go to her socials. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you. Namaste.